Alright folks, and welcome back to the Don's channel. I am the Donfather, and I'm now going to be ranking what I think is the best AFL Indigenous round Guernsey from this year, 2019. I know I'm a bit late to the party with this one, but I was doing the home ones for 2020 and they're not all released yet. And I had mentioned this and someone asked me to do the 2019 Indigenous round Guernseys, so I'm going to do that. So I'm going to rank it from 18th all the way to first place of what I think is, I wouldn't say the worst because there's none of them really that bad. There's a couple that I'm not really fussed about, but I wouldn't say I dislike any of them. I want to throw in one thing before we start. I appreciate these mean something to some people in Australia from the Indigenous community. They were designed from members of the footy clubs, I believe. I've never looked into the history of them all, but what I'm going to say is I am judging this purely on the way they look and not about their background or even the club they represent. It's literally the way they look, so don't get offended. So in 18th place, it's the one I'm least fond of. It's got to be the Hawthorne Hobbs one. Look at this. It looks like it's like candy stacked on top of each other, thrown in like a stork up there. I'm not too sure what it is at the top. Proudly worn there, but at the same time, Adidas really do make good quality sports stuff, so the quality would certainly be there. The sponsor's not really offensive, Tasmania just sitting there, but it looks like it's loads of little sweets, candies, just all stacked up on top of each other, little cakes or something. I'm really not digging the design, so that is number 18 for me. Okay, number 17, and this team wouldn't be very familiar with coming 17th whatsoever, is Richmond Tigers one. Across the yellow sash they have what looks like turtles and again like some sort of bird. The design itself, I'm not enjoying the little dots that are going along the Guernsey itself. I don't know what they represent, I just don't like the look of them at all. Yellow and white spots, but there's very little Indigenous print there. The turtle really does not look good, slap bang in the centre of the yellow sash for me. So that is why I've decided to give Richmond 17th spot. Now, in 16th, I'm putting this in 16th because I really think they haven't tried whatsoever to make an Indigenous Guernsey, and that's why I put this in 17th. The colour in itself is not offensive to me whatsoever. I really do like red and blue together. Everybody who knows me and knows what teams I support would appreciate that I like these colours, but based on the fact that this was an Indigenous Guernsey, I'm ranking this at 16th. It's Melbourne Football Club's. There's nothing really wrong with the Guernsey, I just don't think they've even tried to make as much of an Indigenous print as they should have. I know sometimes simple designs are better than not, but this is Indigenous. You've got to go out there. Sometimes the more striking the Guernsey, I think, the better. And they haven't done so. It really is a plain Guernsey. It's like something I could have probably designed myself, like the old boomerang V on the top there. And a little bit of like tribal pattern around it. So on that note, 16th to Melbourne. Okay, and 15th, St Kilda. And I actually usually quite like the home Guernsey of St Kilda. It's plain, it's bold at the same time with the three colours. But the reason why I've got this in 15th, further down the list, is purely to do with the big fish. When they're putting these animals on it like that are just so out of sync with the whole Guernsey, and it's bold, it should be blended into something in my opinion. It's just sort of slapped there on the sort of belly area of the Guernsey, and I don't really think it's that nice and it works. The tribal printing on the red is actually, however, quite nice. I like the wavy lines that they've done in the Guernsey as well. It's just the fish, it's really putting me off. I know it probably represents something, but again, reiterating, I'm judging this purely on the way the Guernsey looks, and I don't really like that. So, that was 15. On to 14 then. is Collingwood. The reason why Collingwood's further down the list as well is because, yes, it's a simple design, it's quite plain. I'm just going to put this out there, I don't really like the design. I know they've tried to incorporate the black and the white of Collingwood, but I think they could have been a little bit bolder with this. I think they could have tried a little bit harder with the black and white. It just looks average at best to me. Not something that, like, there's a lot of Indigenous Guernseys out there, you go, wow, that's nice, and this isn't one of them. It's not the worst, but it's far from the best. Collingwood 14. 13th place then, the Power. It's Port Adelaide. I actually quite like Port Adelaide's home Guernseys and away Guernseys, the grey one with the sort of V, teal and white V on the Guernseys. But the print in itself on this Indigenous Guernsey, it's not striking. It's pretty plain design, which I don't mind plain designs, but I just don't like the sort of print they've used. I don't think it's the best out of the Guernseys. It's not that I don't like them, it's probably the wrong word to use there, disliking something. It's just not as good as others, and it had to be put somewhere. So that's why it's found itself in 13th. All in all, it's not a bad Guernsey. It's just not as good as others, so that's why it's 13th. Okay, so in 12th spot then, people might be quite surprised with my choice at 12th, because quite a lot of people might like it, but for me there's just far too much going on, and they've not really been bold in their Indigenous print, so that's why I put it here. It's the Brisbane Lions. All in all, it's actually quite nice, but this is an Indigenous Guernsey, and that's how I'm ranking them. And that's why it's found its way at 12. As they've not really tried to do too much far away from the home Guernsey whatsoever for me. They've kind of put Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in there, you know. They put a bit of a star theme. It's like a nighttime feel to the Guernsey, with a sort of Ayers Rock kind of Uluru thing going on in the background there. Again, it's nice enough, but I don't think they've been bold in the Indigenous theme to the Guernsey, so that's why it's found its way in 12th. Okay, 11th, and it's pretty much a place where this club would usually find themselves in and around the ladder. It's North Melbourne. I don't mind it actually, it's an improvement on their home Guernsey. There's not so much you can do with blue and white stripes. They've made it kind of wavy with a little bit of tribal print coming down it. It's not too bold, it's not too little, it's just nice. The Mazda logo just sits in there nice, you don't really notice it sticking out. It's actually okay. Would I buy this one? It's a Canterbury make, so it's pretty good quality with a sort of U-shaped, USB shaped colour. I quite like it. I quite like it. It's not bad, but there is better ones there. It's found itself in 11th, but that's not to say I dislike it. I quite like it. North Melbourne, 11. So in 10th spot then is Geelong. This Geelong Indigenous Guernsey is far superior to their home Guernsey. Their home Guernsey isn't something I'd really be dying about. It's very, very plain, it's very, very dull, their home Guernsey usually. But this one's quite good. I quite like the Indigenous print on it. It's subtle, as well as there's a lot of detail going on in it. There's a lot of detail going on in it, but it's still quite subtle the way they flowed it through the hoops of Geelong. I like the shiny navy colouring in it. The white with the print on it's quite nice. Cotton On makes this one. I'm not as sure of this brand as a whole because I've not really seen that much stuff of it in the UK before, but the stuff that we've been sent from Geelong from a friend of the channel was decent enough quality. So in terms of the Guernsey quality wise, I don't know. But Ford, nice little logo on there with the AFL badge and the Geelong Cats badge underneath the crest. I quite like it. It's found its way in 10th spot. So, on to number 9. And it's number 9 probably because I've got a soft spot for the club and I love red, white and blue. It's Western Bulldogs. It probably, in other people's lists, may have found its way further down the list than this, but I could be a little bit biased. The print is very, very bold to say the least, with a sort of sunshine rainbowy thing going on the chest of it. It's got the red and white in the middle with the Indigenous print in the middle. It's got the fish there. I'm not dying about these fish on the Guernseys. I know they're representing things that are relevant to the Indigenous tribes or communities that have designed this, but I'm not dying about them personally on the Guernsey, but it isn't as offensive as other ones. That's why it's actually not further down the list for me. It's not as bad. It's very, very bold attempt by the Western Bulldogs. Very, very bold. They've not held back. They really went and bought into this Indigenous round. So I credit them for that. Would it be my favourite design? No. But it's certainly not my least favourite. It's found itself in a fairly decent 9th position. Western Bulldogs. Okay, so on to 8th. It's GWES. They really went for the Indigenous print theme this year in 2019. I quite like the G kind of subtly coming through the design with the ovally shaped, I don't know what it's called, so it's like a shield type thing going on in the centre of the Guernsey. All the print all over it, they've really bought into the Indigenous round. I quite like it. I actually do like it. Is it excess that makes the Guernseys? I'm not too sure of the quality of them. The tyres print, the Toyo tyres sponsor isn't that offensive jumping out of the Guernsey. I quite like it, and I think 8th spot's a pretty decent place for this this Guernsey. The orange, the kind of blacky browny colour and theme, it all matches. It's all pretty nice. It has a nice flow to it. I quite like it. But as I say, it doesn't really jump out as much as others, but they have really, really bought into the Indigenous round, and I commend them for that. So GWS in 8th. Okay, that brings us on to number 7. This is where it was starting to get really hard for me to pick between them, because they were all getting pretty good, but I thought this one was just a little bit out of there, and there was one reason for that. They've really bought into the Indigenous round as well. This is Sydney Swans, featuring Lance Buddy Franklin, a superb player over this last 10, 11, 12 years. Nice ISC brand. I think they're really good quality stuff. The QBE sponsor doesn't really take your attention away from the patterning. It's got the old Opera House in the background in the white with the red, which is so such a poignant design in Sydney Swans home Guernsey. They've still incorporated that into it. The Indigenous print on the chest, quite nice, with the dots and the sort of patterning that they've got going on there. But the one reason that this didn't find its way higher up for me was the swan being so deeply black, so shiny deeply black. It looked like an ink foil wrap type thing going on there. It kind of takes it away from the print. They've got a little bit of fish going on there. I actually quite like that though, because it's like fish going through the river, flowing through the river at the bottom of the Guernsey. It's quite a nice print, to be honest with you. The red, the white, it's just the swan on it's too bold, too black for me, and that's why it's not that little bit higher up. That's why it's found its place in 7th. So, 6th place. The West Coast Eagles. I actually really like this Guernsey. The reason why it is not higher up the list is because I think they could have been a little bit more Indigenous. I think they've went with the Eagles wings a lot more. It's kind of easy to design this one. It's not too far away from their home Guernsey the way it would have been. I quite like the middle bit, the circular thing. I'm not too sure of the names of these things, so don't laugh too hard at me trying to describe them. But the sort of circular thing in the middle of the Guernsey, ISC's made it. The Hungry Jacks logo, I'm not really dying about. It really is a little bit too bold on this Indigenous Guernsey. It really is a beautiful Guernsey, isn't it? The eagle head, so familiar to everybody that. I love the print at the back of it in the blue, the sort of patterning in the background, and the feathers are really nice, but I think it could have possibly been a little bit more, and this is my only critique. I think it could have been a little bit more Indigenous. I don't know how they would have done it right enough. They've really put a lot of, they've got this, the kind of, the bold Indigenous bit and the white coming down through with a circular feature in the middle. That was a really hard one to judge. I'm nitpicking here when I say it could have been a little bit more Indigenous. I'm not too sure how they could have done that, but there was other Guernseys out there that I really liked. That's why West Coast Eagles were 6th. So, 5th place, the rivals, Fremantle Dockers. I like it. I think it's an absolute cracking Guernsey, with the purple and the sort of boomerang shaped feature that they always have on their home and away Guernseys. They've even released it out, the away Guernsey I've got on this picture here. The purple, the print in it's lovely. The two colours of purple, the lighter purple in the middle and the deeper purple on either side of that. ISC making it as well. Really good quality Guernseys. I like the print. It's really tribally looking. There's not some really bold fish on this or turtle or something diverting your attention from the print. I like Indigenous prints, the tribal print, rather than a big bold animal on it, whether it's a fish or a turtle. And I know they mean something, so I'm not trying to be too offensive when I say that. It's just not what I like on the Guernseys. But yeah, really nice Guernsey. Would I buy it? I would buy that. I would buy that. I think the Dockers fans got a really good Indigenous round Guernsey here. So that brings us into the top 4. 4th place, Essendon Football Club. I think this is an absolute perler, a cracking Guernsey, but I like Essendon Guernseys anyway. They're one of my favourite Guernseys, without trying to give too much away of how I'm going to probably rank the Guernseys in the Home 2020 thing when I do my video. This one is an absolute cracker. It's got the red sash coming through it. They've made the red and the black like a camouflagey print going on it, and the sash has got down the from the shoulder down to the waist has got nice subtle but yes nice tribal Indigenous print going down it. The sponsor's not too offensive. You really have to actually look at it again to notice the sponsor, which is good, and I like that. I don't like the sponsor taking over the Guernsey. The AFL there with the badge there. I think it's a cracker. Would I buy it? 100% I would buy this Guernsey. Really nice Guernsey. Pretty plain, but striking on the eye. And you know that it's an Indigenous Guernsey straight away as well. So that has us into 3rd place, and this team really don't know what it's like to be 3rd at all. Even 3rd bottom they would take. It's the Gold Coast Suns. I think this Guernsey is really beautiful, and there's one feature stopping it from coming 1st place. One feature, possibly 2, because I don't like their club crest in the middle of the Guernsey, the GC, the Gold Coast. The print is absolutely fabulous. I love the red, yellowy, orangey, blue just flowing into each other. It's like cracks in the desert happening in the dusty outback, the cracks in there. Really lovely colouring, striking, jumps straight out at you. I think this is an absolutely beautiful Guernsey. It's the logo, it's the sponsor up here. It's like a construction site, a building firm's, construction firm's logo there. I don't know what it is. with a sort of Minecrafty badge, but it really takes away there in that corner. If that could have been blended in a little bit more, if they could have got a little bit of permission to change the colouring of that and blend that in a little bit better to the Guernsey, that probably would have been number 1 for me. However, it's found itself in 3rd. Gold Coast Suns, number 3. So, what is number 2? I feel we need a little bit of a drum roll here, because as soon as I give away number 2, you know who number 1 is. So, and in 2nd place, it is Adelaide Crows. Now, Adelaide Crows home Guernsey is probably one of the ugliest Guernseys you can buy. It really is, and I think Adelaide Crows fans, I know you love the team, you're passionate about the footy club, but when you look at that Guernsey, can you seriously tell me from the bottom of your heart that that is a really nice Guernsey, your home Guernsey? Well, if you had the option of wearing your Indigenous Guernsey all year round, would you? Because I certainly would. I think they really went to town on the Indigenous theme. The colouring's lovely with the yellow, red, blue, white, navy. They just went full hog. They've just went completely all out on this one. The Toyota sponsor just blends in lovely. IESC, really good quality Guernsey maker. I just absolutely love this Guernsey. I would buy it in a heartbeat. If I was an Adelaide Crows fan, I would buy that in a heartbeat. I reckon for people neutral as well, that don't really have a team, they would look at that, and that would probably be one of the first Guernseys they would go to buy if they were buying an Indigenous round Guernsey, without any shadow of a doubt. I really feel that that is one of the first they'd go for. Beautiful, beautiful Guernsey. Well done, Adelaide Crows. Not too sure who designed this Guernsey, but you've done a really, really good job for 2019. Adelaide Crows, number 2. So that can only mean one team to win first place. And who is it? It's Carlton Football Club. I don't know why I've ranked this above Adelaide Crows, other than the fact the electric blue really just boom, jumped straight out of me. Wow! And it's got the Indigenous print coming through it on the chest. The CFC mono logo that you're so familiar with sits in there boldly, yet it blends in with the Guernsey, lovely. You know it's a Carlton Guernsey. I just think it's absolutely stunning Guernsey. Would I buy it? 100%. That's the main question, isn't it, when you're asking, would you buy the Guernsey? Yes. When you look back to the Hawthorne one, would I buy it? No. It just looks like a whole lot of bassets all sort of sitting on top of each other. So no would be the answer to them. Richmond would be a no. Melbourne, I didn't think they bought into them. I think it's quite a nice Guernsey, but I didn't think they bought into the Indigenous round. But for this one, they really went for it. They really went for the pattern and the design. They've put in the Indigenous theme. It's like an electric blue jumping out of you. Nike logo looks really, really top class on it. I think it's an absolute cracker and well modelled in the picture as well. So that is my 18-1 2019 Indigenous Guernsey, ranked by the Donfather. Do you agree, disagree? Where would you have ranked them? Let me know in the comments section below what your favourite is. What is your least favourite? Does anybody actually particularly dislike a Guernsey? The one that I wouldn't say I dislike it, I just think it's really it would be the Hawthorne one. I really struggled with that one. But I actually quite struggle with the Hawthorne home Guernsey as well. Don't want to give too much away with what way I would rank sort of my least favourite Guernseys and the home Guernseys, but that Hawthorne one, it really wasn't that great, that Indigenous one this year for 2019. So hopefully Hawthorne can get a 2020 one that's really good. But Carlton, Adelaide Crows, Gold Coast Suns, I would say up until about 6th place, the way I've ranked it, to the West Coast Eagles down, all fantastic Guernseys, and I would buy every single one of them. I would buy the Western Bulldogs one because they're my favourite team in the AFL. The Brisbane Lions one was actually quite good. Maybe I've been quite a bit really overcritical about that, but I just feel there could have been a little bit more Indigenous print. Thanks very much anyway for watching. If anybody's anything else they'd like to see me react to, talk about, review, etc., please feel free to drop a comment in the section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, and the Dawn of World Sports, my other channel, and share my videos with your friends and family. Also, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Check it out in the description section below as well, and other ways in which you can help fund and support the channel, such as Patreon. You can become a patron, and you can also just go fund us and help us fulfill our dream of being able to do our vlogging trip in 2021 in Australia, where we're going to be going to the AFL grounds and giving our video logs and experiences of the whole thing. So thanks very much for watching. I am the Donfather. Peace everyone, and goodbye.